Hi there, my name's Coach Webb, and what I'm doing today is I'm going to show you uh, a formula that I use to saves me some time when I'm doing things like completing a student data tracker, or when I'm taking raw scores and converting them to scale scores to put into the grade book. Uh, it helps me save some time by taking a uh, a data identifier or some number, so like this, in this case, an ID number, finding it in a different data set, and then returning a certain value that I want. So I'll show you how this formula looks. This is like a student data tracker that our campus uses. It's very similar. So what I need to do is I need to find this student's ID number and bring back their quarter one summative score. So, for example, I've got these fake students here. Uh, their ID numbers are here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go over to this column over here, percent correct, uh, and return that value. Now, I can go through and search for that in this list, that number, or I can use this formula, which is called a VLOOKUP. So I'll hit equals VLOOKUP, and then I'm going to put parentheses, and I'm going to tell Google Sheets here that I want this ID number. So I want them to look up this value. I'm going to hit comma, and then I've got to tell it where I want it to look that information up. So I want this quarter one data. So I'm going to start my first column with the ID number. So whatever column you want it to look for that number or that identifier in, that's the column that you start with. Now you're going to drag that over until you get to the column that you want returned. Or you can go past, it doesn't matter, but you got to make sure that your column that you want returned is in your data, in your range here. So I'm going to release it there, and I'm going to hit comma again, and then I'm going to tell it which column I want returned. So if I start here with C, this is going to be column 1. Notice it's not number 1 in the sheet, but that's the first column in my range. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I want it to return the value from the 12th column. So I'm going to type in 12. And then this is where I tell it what type of match that I want it to do and how I want that returned. Since I want an exact return, so I want this number exactly how it is, I'm going to type in false. And it's either true or false. I've never used true. I've only used false. So pretty much always, if you're going to be using this for this this type of application, you type in false. So that's the value you want to look up, the range where you want it to look up, the column number of the data that you want back, and then false. And you hit enter, and it brings back my 36 for that student. Now I can take this and I can drag it down, and it does the same thing for each one of these ID numbers. It goes and finds that value there. I can do that again, or I can take this and I can copy that over, paste it here. It's still looking up A3. Now all I have to do is tell it, let's look up D3. So I'm going to change this A3 to D3. And now it does that again for me. So I can copy that down. I'm going to drag it down. And then I've got my scores there returned. So I'll hit the same thing. I can do this VLOOKUP, the ID number I want, the range that I want it in, the column number I want returned, false. And it brings that over. And then I do that same thing here. Tag that ID number. My range, the column, false. So I've got all those that data returned back for me. Okay, so that was one application. The second application that I said is by changing a raw score into a scale score. So first thing I need to do, I've got my students, I've got their ID numbers. I'm going to bring over their raw scores for this quarter assessment. So I'm going to type in VLOOKUP. I'm going to have it look up their ID number again. And the reason why you use like an ID number is it's a unique number or a unique identifier for that student. If you use like last name, if I've got multiple Fullers in the list, it's going to bring back the first Fuller that it finds, which I don't want to do. I want it to find the actual student's raw score. So I'm going to type in my range now. So I'm going to go back over here, and at this point, now I want my raw score. So I've got my range has changed a little bit. The last one was over here 2% correct. So now I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I want the 11th column back, and I'm going to type in false again. So now I've got my raw score, which for that student was a 15, and then I'm going to take that all the way down. And at this point, now I've got my raw scores pulled over for students on that first assessment. Now I want to take this and I want to change it into our scale score. So I've got my conversion chart here. It tells me my raw scores, it tells me my converted summative score and the actual summative score. I'm going to search for the raw scores. When I have the raw score, I want it to bring back my converted score. So I'm going to do a scale score again. I'm going to hit equals VLOOKUP. I'm going to have it find the raw score. This is the number that I want it to look up. I'm going to go over to my conversion chart. I want it to look up the raw score in this column, so I'll click on there first, drag it over. I could drag it all the way over here to the actual score. And when I hit the comma, I want it to return the second column. I want it to return this converted summative score. So I go 1, 2, I type in my 2, I'll type in false, and it tells me a raw score of 15. When I put it in the grade book, it's going to be a 66. So now I just drag that all the way down through, and at this point now I have my grades for my grade book. So some people go to their conversion chart and they go each line down their students, and that's fine. This, in my opinion, saves me a little bit of time, so I figured I'd share those couple tips with you just to make things go a little bit faster. So I hope this video helped. If you ever come across anything that you need help with, please feel free to email me. My name's Andrew Webb, so my email's andrew.webb@gpisd.org, and I'm more than happy to help you out. All right, I hope you have a great year and good luck, and we'll see you out there. All right, bye.